I'm Jimmy Lewis. I'm going to show you how to put one of my paddle grips on a paddle. Now the place you want to put it at is where your bottom hand should be. And there is a proper place for it. And the way you determine where that grip should be down here is putting the paddle on your head like this, and then hold with your top hand on the grip, on the handle of the paddle, and then you want to get your arms perpendicular coming off your elbows. And sometimes it's hard to tell by yourself. You could look in a mirror or you could have your friend help you. Sometimes it's like this. You don't want your hands angled out and you don't want them angled in. And there is a correct way to have your hands on a paddle, and that is perpendicular when you have it on your head like that. That's the correct way. And if you're not doing like that, you should change your habit and paddle with your hand in this position. So now I've determined that's where my hand's going to be when I paddle most of the time. Of course I can move it a little bit. So the paddle grip is going to go right here like that. I'm going to try to center my hand on that. So that's going to be about the bottom of the paddle grip. I've got a piece of masking tape here to mark it. That's where it's in the bottom of it. Now, the paddle grip on my shafts, they fit perfectly around the shaft and they butt together perfectly. I'm going to show you how to put it on. So, and also, you want to have the place where it butts together on the back side of the paddle, because your fingers will never touch it. Even though it butts together perfectly, your fingers will never touch it because it's never in that position when you're holding your paddle. So I get it like this, and I like the shark pointing down like this, pointing toward the blade, not up. So I'm going to peel the back off like that, trying not to touch that, the sticky part. You don't want to leave a fingerprint or leave any oil on it. So I have the paddle like this, so the blade is up, and I'm going to lay this right in the middle there, on the top side of it, like that. Now I kind of stick it down in the middle. Now the trick is to get it to lay down real perfect and to wrap and stretch. If you just use your hand, it doesn't quite stretch the EVA as tight as it should. So I use a screwdriver, or anything hard would work. And I'm starting in the middle, pushing toward the edge of this like that, and going this direction. I'm also kind of pushing in this direction too, wrapping it toward the corners as I go. And I just start turning it around and doing it like that. That's stretching the EVA as much as possible to get it to go down. And then I'm hitting like the corners there real tight. And then in the end, just put it real tight. Now I'm going to come back and do this side, doing the same thing, working toward the corners from the center out. And as you can see, this butted together perfect, because these are actually designed for the diameter of my shafts here. Now, let me grab the other one here. If you've got a paddle with a narrower shaft, you would do the same thing, and what's going to happen is it's going to end up butting like this. It's going to overlap a little bit. So what you do is just overlap it like that, and I would take my fingernail and you run it down that crease to really press it down in there. And you can take a razor blade and cut some of it off, but some heavy sandpaper like 50 grit or 36 grit sands this stuff really well. And so you just, like wherever the overlap is, like that, you just start sanding on it, and eventually it'll just sand right through there, and that piece will fall off and it'll butt together. So this will fit on any paddle, even if it overlaps. You do want to get that little overlap piece off. And surprisingly, this stuff sands real well. It takes a little bit, but just start sanding it real hard, and it'll come off. There you go. When you use this on your paddle, you got such a better grip. You feel like you can paddle so much more powerful when you got a grip on your shaft instead of having it slippery. I can hold my paddle with the tips of my fingers, and I feel like I got more power than a full grip on a slippery shaft. There you go. Happy paddling.